Hi everyone, Lynn here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have an overview of the papers and fabrics I plan on using in my new floral journal that I'm going to make. And I'm going to make it start to finish on camera. This is going to be interesting because I am not the fastest at making journals. So hopefully it doesn't take forever to do this, to video it and everything else, because like I said, I'm slow. So if you saw my haul video, then you know these are the fabrics I picked out for this journal. And yeah, that's my plan. Some of these will be used, at least 2 of them, maybe more, I don't know. Moving on from the fabric, and I'm not trying to rush through this, but there's a few things that I want to cover. So moving on from the fabric, I really wanted to go through just some of the pages that I pulled out to put in this journal, aside from my pretty papers. Well, I mean, most of them are going to be pretty anyways, but you know, the basics and book pages that I've pulled out, etc., and some interesting items that I've pulled out. So starting with the basics, obviously I'm going to use some, this is coffee dyed paper. It is not very dark. Hopefully you can, kind of hard to see because of the lighting in here, but it is coffee dyed. So I am going to use some of these. I also have this paper, which is, again, if you saw my haul, then you'll remember this paper. It was in a photo album. I messed this one up. But this is the size that the paper was, and of course I folded it so that I can make pocket pages, and I have some ideas for what to do along the bottom here. So that, and then I've got some ledger and some graph paper, because you know, if you're going to talk about a garden, well, you need some graph paper, so I added that. I also have some composition notebook paper, and you can tell a little bit more on there that it's coffee dyed. So I'm going to add some of that. I personally, for my own albums, I usually don't use a lot of plainish papers because I like seeing all the variety of colors and textures and textures in the papers and textures in the prints, and that's what I like. But this journal is not for me, so I'm making it so that someone else would enjoy it a little bit more, because they can do more journaling, which is not my strength. I don't do a lot of writing. I tend to add more pictures than anything else. So I am adding some of these as well. I also have some interesting papers, and we'll go through those first, some of them anyways. This is, what do you call that? Transfer sheets, which I have had this, I don't know, I've had it for a long time. It doesn't give me a date on when it was put out, but I just tore, they're pretty big size sheets, so I actually tore it in quarters. And of course you're going to have birds and you have flowers in your garden, so we're going to use that. I added these because I want to add that to this page, but this page here, along with this one, which I'll show you this one first, okay? This came from a photo collection book, and this is one of the pages that is in the book, and it does have the horizontal and the vertical photo thing. So I cut them down a little bit, because so that they would fit in the album. Okay, I left it intact in the middle, and then I glued it together because I had to cut it down. This one's got a flaw, but that's okay because that's going to get covered anyways. So I cut it so that my page wasn't any bigger than 8.5 by 11, and then instead of leaving it blank, I made some pockets inside, so you can slide your picture in there on both sides. And of course got some pretty floral papers. And then the other one, which is one of these pages from the same album. And I cut off this strip because I had to cut it somewhere so it wouldn't be too wide. And then I used the insert from this as the back page, and I did glue it inside, and I'll probably add something decorative. Now normally when I'm making my big journals, I usually don't make a seam this close to where I'm going to be sewing in my signature, but because the size of the paper itself, I didn't really have a choice, so did that. My plans are to somehow sew some of this paper on the back of this page. We'll leave this one blank and then add this paper here. So I haven't figured that one out either. We'll see. Again, from my haul the other day, this is some of the scented papers. It is pretty. It's more vintage looking than what I'm going for, but I like it, and I think it's a great addition for this journal. And then this wonderfulness is actually a gift bag that I took apart. I like the colors. I like the flowers. So I'm adding this as well as a page. Of course, music paper. This one is well loved, as you can see. This is a page from How to Make Your Own Paper, Fabric Flowers type thing, and I really like the illustrations more so than the pictures, but that's okay. That can always be covered up, but I do like this. This is interesting. I picked this up a while back. This is actually dishes. It's, I guess, a catalog of dishes. I don't know, but a lot of the dishes have flowers on them. And, you know, why not use them? I like this. I love that. And I thought that might be an interesting, something different. It's not your normal, maybe, things that you would put in a journal, especially not one on florals. Why would you put dishes in there? But I'm going to use it anyways. And then, of course, since you're going to have birds in a garden, birds and butterflies and, you know, whatever insects, I did pull out a couple pages from one of my bird books. And I got to tell you, I don't necessarily use just old books. I would love to use just older vintage books, but I am having a hard time finding a lot of this stuff. I've actually got my daughter looking for books right now. So, you know, where she lives, she's in a completely different part of the country that I'm in. And so I'm hoping that she'll be able to find a few things for me. But, you know, so because of that, and because I like to have variety and I want to see all these different things, and these books are going to go in the garbage, so I might as well reuse them, whether they're new or old. I don't really care. You know, if you're a stickler about using only vintage, then this is probably not the place for you to be looking at journals. But I'm using what I have and what I can find. And if I can find some vintage books, I'm going to use them. So this is one of my favorite papers. It's from a large atlas that I've had for the longest time, and it is the Index. But I love this paper. It's just the color and the feel of it. I love it, and it's big. I'm going to have to trim it down a little bit because it's too long, but that's okay. And then this is, this came out of this here, Dictionary of Trees for Florida and Subtropicals. I have no idea how old this is. Don't think it's vintage. I've already pulled it apart and used some of the pages. I probably already used that. I saw it and I thought that was awesome. So I'm using it. Of course, you're going to have trees somewhere. And then, of course, this one here is fruit trees. So, yeah, that works, right? Along that same line, this is a field guide on trees and bushes. I love this. So I picked one of those and one that's a little bit plainer. Another Wild Garden Planner. This is a newer book, and it came with little cards. It was in ring binder, yeah, ring binder thing, spiral binder. That's what I want to say. And has all these little cards, which I have, which I'm going to include in this book, with a variety of like flowers. So like at the top would be your shortest, you know, creepers, and then your little bit taller flowers, and a little bit taller, and going all the way down to your tallest flower, so that you could, and then you could flip each one individually so that you could pick and choose like colors and whatever you would like, starting from the shortest to the tallest, which I thought was awesome. But this is one of the few long pages in this book that actually had a picture on it, so I'm using that. This is another floral, shrub, whatever book. But again, I love these illustrations. They're so pretty. And again, not a new book. I mean, not an old book. Newer. But you use what you got, right? And then another different one. Flowers with some beautiful illustrations. I love that. And then, of course, I had to pull some pages from the Monet book. I'm going to figure out a way to use some of the big, the 30-inch pages, but I haven't gotten that far yet. So I pulled a few that, you know, would include some florals. And yes, I know that includes on the water, but whatever. I picked what I liked. And I was really happy with that. And then the other thing that I do want to add, of course, is going to be doilies. I have plans for some other ideas which are going to include specific tutorials for bags and envelopes and that kind of thing that can fit in your journal. Also ideas on using up your 6x6 papers if you have a lot of them, especially if you were more into scrapbooking before you got into junk journaling. This will be ideal for you. And then I'm going to move this because I'm going to show you the papers, the scrapbook papers that I'm using. Okay, hopefully that lighting is slightly better. I had to move my lamp over. It's been hazy here, for cloudy, hazy. It's been really strange. And yeah, it's hard to get the light just right for me to video. But in the next couple of weeks, if I can get ahead on videos, I'm going to reorganize my crafty space and I'll be in a better place for lighting. So anyway, getting back to the papers. I am not going to use all these papers, but I thought I'd go through them with you just for the simple reason so you can get an idea of what I'm thinking. Now keep in mind that my pages are going to be the size of a sheet of copy paper in the US. If you live in the UK, then it's going to be what? A little bit shorter, but a little bit wider, I think, or maybe it's the other way around. I don't know. But for the US, a standard 8.5 by 11 size paper. So I need to make these papers wider, and I'll show you how I do that. And I'll show you some ideas for pockets and tucks and all that stuff that I have. So right now, this is one of my go-to papers. This will be definitely a cover sheet to one of the signatures. Whether it's the first one or not, I don't know. Haven't gotten that far. I just got out the papers today. So this one here, and I'm just going to flip through them, and I love this. This would be beautiful too. Some of these have more pattern than others, but the colors are the right colors. This is from the paper collection in my haul. Again, I'm not going to be using all these papers, but keep in mind that in making an 8.5 by 11 page, doubling it, now you're looking at 17 inches by 11. You know, so you have to get your extra paper from somewhere else. So, you know, that's why I have a lot more papers. So all these two again are picked from that die cuts with a view paper pad that I had. I'm debating on adding in some black and white. I think it wouldn't be such a bad idea, especially when you consider, where's the other one? You know, this has black in it, so why not? But it all depends on how things go. This is, you know, something else I pulled out from. The rest of these are pretty much things I pulled out from my stash that are possibilities. Some are more vintage looking, and again, it's not my style. Don't get me wrong. I have nothing against vintage. I did vintage for years. As I'm getting older, I want brighter. So my style has changed. So, but there's nothing wrong with the vintage style. It's just not me right now. And then this is an actual paper. So this would be good for something else. I pulled this one out and I'm not 100% convinced on it. This is an older paper. I like the red in it, but I'm not sure about the orange. But, you know, sometimes you just need a little bit of something, and this might be it. So I did pull it out. And again, this one too has a lot of orange in it, but I like the style of it, and it gives me that floral look that I'm looking for. Not that I want every single paper to have floral on it, but I want to pull that throughout the journal. And then this is pretty simple. It does have picnic baskets on the back. It works. You know, you could have a picnic in your backyard, in your garden. Why not, right? And this is, I love this. And it goes beautifully with the fabrics. It does have brown on the back, so I'll have to see, but I love the color. I love the patterns on it. It's really pretty, and it's very vintage in comparison to this paper, but it could still work. And this is beautiful as well, and black and white on the back. And I pulled out some yellows. I don't want to use a lot of yellow. I will use some, but I don't want to use a lot of it. This I love. This is gorgeous. It's very simple, but I find it very elegant. And it has some aqua, and it's floral on the back, so I will definitely use that. I pulled out this one to give you an idea of something I probably will not use. I had this in my yellow paper stash, and actually it's more green excuse me, than yellow, but I like the gold in it, the foil embossing in it, so it's a possibility. We'll see. And then this here is another beautiful paper, and it does have the flowers on it, very simple on the back. Again, this one is more along that vintage, you know, looking paper. I like this one. It's simple, it's understated, it is yellow, and it does have some, you know, of the script in the background. Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe, we'll see. This is another one that's slightly more vintage. I love the florals. I actually love the colors. This was from a paper pack. It was 25 sheets of the same paper, and I rarely ever do that. I rarely ever buy those packs from Tuesday Morning, but I did buy this one because I really, really liked it. So, possibility. And it does have some foiling on it, kind of like a pearly finish on it. I do like it. It might work. Now, here's some other papers that are possibilities, specifically on one side. Although this one here could go either one. because I do like this. It does talk about flowers, always having flowers, and wonderful day, and beautiful things, make beautiful things happen, and all that. And I think it'd be nice to throw in some blue or aqua of sorts, just so it's the color of the journal is not just all on the warm tones. I think it needs that splash of the cool tones as well. Here's another one that's, quite different. It's just polka dots. It's brown in the back. Again, I'm not sure if I want that or not, but the colors, the greens and the pinks are perfect. So possibilities. And then this one here is a real stretch, because this is almost like a fabric. It feels like a fabric with paper on the back. It's not, maybe it is flocking, although the background, the beige part of it, also feels like fabric. So I don't know, but it's beautiful. And it's got that floral type element in the middle, so possibilities. I did pick out this as well. This is 49 in Market Papers, and if you've ever seen these, this is like really, really thick cardstock. And this one of the thickest cardstocks I've found, but this is cut apart. So definitely with the flowers can be cut apart. We'll see how that gets used. Here's some more different, this is embossed. It has that foil look on the background, and it is embossed. This was a packet. Again, this is Tuesday morning stuff from a little while back. This is beautiful with the roses. And even the stripes are beautiful. But how much of it I'm going to use, I don't know. But those are papers I picked out. And then I did pick out some more 49 in Market Papers. This one does have some punched areas in the paper, but that doesn't matter, because I like using, I don't have a lot of 49 in Market Papers, even though they're gorgeous. I wish I did, but I don't. But I like these for photo mats, specifically to put in little bags or in envelopes. It just adds, not weight, what's the word I'm looking for? Strength to the paper, so that you're not, when you're turning a copy paper, it doesn't have that strength. You know what I'm saying? So this adds strength to the paper, depending on where you use it. So I do like that, because the florals, the colors are pretty. Understated on the back. This is one of my favorites from them, but it is very orange. I don't know. And the back side has a lot of purple. So I don't know. I haven't decided exactly, which ones I'm definitely going to use. I mean, I have some ideas, for which ones I'm going to use. Definitely like this one here. So that's the basic overview. Like I said, I'm going to do quite a few tutorials on, making your own envelopes, making your own bags, especially for a large album, because I can find all kinds of little bags and envelopes that I can put in a journal, but to find the right size, I mean, I don't want to just put a little tiny bag in a big journal. Not that I can't, but if I'm going to put a bag, I'm going to put a bag in there. You know what I'm saying? So that's some of the ideas that I have. I also want to show you how I do some of my tucks, how I do some of my page tucks. So I do plan on doing quite a few tutorials, and I think it's going to be interesting and definitely challenging for me to do this on video, especially since, like I said, I'm not the fastest at making journals. I enjoy the process, but usually by the time I get to the end, I'm like over it. and then I'll turn around and start a whole new one right away, because I do enjoy it, even though I get over it real quick. But I'm kind of rambling right now. Anyway, it's kind of funny. I'm just rambling. Anyways, so this is the beginning. My first tutorial is going to be likely uploaded tomorrow, and it will be making the main signature pages. And I guess I should have told you that I generally, if I'm going to use scrapbook paper, I like to make 2 pages in each signature. So that means I need to make 10, which means I'm going to need somewhere between 15 and 20 pieces of paper. So that's why I pulled out a lot of paper. So at any rate, that's going to be the plan for tomorrow. I'll show you how I make them, how I sew them, if I sew them, and why I sew them, and give you some ideas for working with bigger journals. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please go ahead and like the video. Don't forget to comment, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.